From Oscar Steakhouse, inside the Plaza Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, you're on the corner of Main Street. Welcome to the only podcast produced by and recorded in the Las Vegas Hotel Casino. From gaming to dining to entertainment to sports to Vegas history, this is the place to be for the inside scoop, because this is the place to be downtown. Now, here's Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel.
Hey, Gary.
How's it going?
I am good. You should call me Johnny Rockets.
Why should I call you Johnny Rockets?
Johnny Rockets, or you can call me the Fremont Pharaoh of fireworks.
That's way too much of a tongue twister for me. But
So I'm very excited. Well, we're doing a little special episode today because we're going to have some guests on later on. But really excited because that's very cool what they're doing. Also really cool that we announced that we're going to be doing fireworks every Friday night starting May the
24th.
And I think it's a great idea. But what happened was we started doing fireworks in 2016.
Right.
And we just did July 4th. And then we did New Year's Eve. And then we're like, shoot, can we do maybe St. Patrick's Day, Halloween? We started trying to find days to do it, right?
Right. I think there was one year, maybe 2019, 2018, where I think we lit off fireworks 6-7 times.
Yeah, a lot. And somebody downtown said to me, why don't you just do this like every Friday night as like a thing to welcome the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Very expensive idea, but a good idea. And then I just thought about it. And, the reason why I did fireworks candidly was like in 2016, I often felt that the plaza wasn't sort of relevant. No one downtown cared about the plaza. They weren't talking about the plaza. I'm being pretty honest here,
right,
as we always are. And I felt like when somebody said to me with the second time we did that, like, oh God, there's the plaza shooting fireworks, because you hear it all over downtown. I mean, you can't miss it, right? Time stops during the fireworks show.
Yeah.
And
Fremont Street just comes.
Everyone loves whether you're on East Fremont, Arts District, Symphony Park, in one of the hotel towers, you hear the fireworks, you see it, and for whatever reason, it works, right? People literally love watching fireworks. I don't necessarily know why or how to explain it, but people love it. And it was a way for me to sort of remind everybody, hey, the plaza's still here, we're here, guys. And it was like almost us waving to the community, like, remember us? That was back in 2016. I feel like, fast forward a couple of years, credit to you, the team, everyone here, that wasn't the case. And so when the idea came up to start doing this every weekend, maybe 3 years ago, I was like, nah, we don't need to do that every weekend. Anyway, fast forward a few months ago, I went to Disneyland. And I knew they did it there every single night.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize how much it's like consumes people's time and interest. And it people literally queue up to stare and watch fireworks. And they don't even, I mean, all due respect to Disney, it's a great show. And there is like the, whatever it's called, the house, the mansion, I don't know. My kids could probably tell me what it's called, the big house, the big castle. And they got all the characters and the parade, and there's a lot going on there. But I felt like downtown Las Vegas with Fremont Street and all the lights and the neon and the history and the music and East Fremont and all the things happening down here, you throw in a fireworks show on top of that, and there's just so much happening. Sensory overload, right?
Right.
And I was watching that show on Disney, and I was like, yeah, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Now, we're not doing every night. We're going to start with every Friday. We're going to run it, I guess, the whole summer, so maybe 3 months.
Essentially Memorial Day to
Labor Day, yeah, sure. But there's no timeline on this, right? We can keep doing this forever.
Right.
Maybe we'll do it every night eventually, right? Who knows? But the idea was, let's just see if every Friday night we welcome the weekend. So that's when I had that moment, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then I thought, well, if we're going to do it every Friday, it's up to this point, it's always just been the plaza. And I don't mean financially. Yes, we pay for the show on July 4th, New Year's Eve, whatever it is. I really wanted to feel like the community downtown, the other casinos.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how are other neighbors responding to that news of the fireworks
So I called
show?
up the ones I'm closest to on Fremont Street, some of the other operators, the mayor, and I said, this is what we're thinking, and would you want to get behind this?
Yeah.
And everyone said, yes, we'll get behind it. Now, I don't mean financially, but will you put it on social media? Will you tell your concierge to tell their guests, hey, at 9:15 you can go watch a fireworks show? Will you put it on digital assets in the property? Create a sense of spectacle where you can go up to a bar across the street or Legacy, right? Or you can go to the top of the Golden Nugget or get a room that overlooks the fireworks show. Like, make it a thing. We even get people in East Fremont that can go to the El Cortez in their towers and see the show. We get the people filming our shows from all over downtown, the high rises in the Arts District. I wanted to make this not just about the plaza. Now, we do have the Carousel Bar, Pink Box Donuts. I think the best place to watch the fireworks is going to be Oscar's Patio. It's going to be spectacular, having dinner out there on a Friday night. Music starts playing and the show's curated to a song. I think it's going to be a fantastic addition for the Oscars Patio.
But there's no bad viewing for our fireworks shows, whether you're on Main Street, whether you're on the pool deck, whether you're at
our pool
Oscars.
decks are not going to be a party. So we started thinking, how do we get the community involved? And everyone from Derek at Circa, Chris at Golden Nugget, the mayor, Andrew, Simon from Fremont Street, they were all supportive and said, let us know how we can help you. I agreed to do it at 9:15 so it doesn't clash with the Fremont Street light show at 9 p.m.
Nice.
And they're going to help us. And that's what is special about downtown, that we can all come together with an idea, support each other, make it happen. And I think it's a great addition to Friday night, fireworks downtown. Downtown is different to the Strip. And this is another thing that's different, right? You can come down here. Sure, you can watch the water fountains at the Bellagio, but if you're downtown, you get a fireworks show at 9 p.m. or 9:15 p.m. And I just think that it's something fun, something different, gives people a reason to talk about us again. People take pictures of fireworks, great for social media. And then all of our assets, like the pool, the carousel bar, the patio, for us, but then across the street, they'll have other things going on. So it's a real downtown event.
This
and
is
I'd
gonna
like
be
to
the
think
place to be on Friday nights.
you'd like to think so,
Yeah.
right? And I'd like to think that this becomes a not just a summer thing, but we do it forever. And that is a expensive proposition.
Sure.
But maybe one day it's a daily thing at 9:15. Who knows, right? This is how good ideas start. I can't imagine at Disney they started out doing it every single night.
I was speaking to a guest a few days ago when the press release went out for the fireworks show and the all-inclusive package. And they were asking me if the all-inclusive package, which I'll speak to in a minute, was going to be something that was going to be extended, because right now that package is only going to be through June.
Right.
And they said, is it going to be extended? I'm like, if it goes well, yeah, it's going to be expanded on.
Well,
And then they said, well, what about the fireworks? Is that going to be? And I was like, I've been around Jonathan for quite some time. If it goes well, I could see him either bringing it back next summer or turns
that's
into
more,
something
so
that's...
Johnny Rockets. That's my alter ego when I talk about fireworks. Johnny Rockets doesn't know if it works in winter the same, right? Because to give people the experience, I want people to be able to sit at dinner on the patio or have a drink at the carousel. Winter's just tougher than, we're gonna have beautiful summer nights.
Right.
Winter's much tougher to put people out there. That's probably the good thing at Disney. They can do it year-round. Weather's much more mild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see us either extending it or bringing it back every year. Who knows? It's an open thing, but this is how good ideas start. But you mentioned this package, right? And I think the fireworks are sort of part of the June month that you're doing it. But I have never seen a package. We've been doing packages, and when we say package, we're like hotel specials and rates and
Right.
blended offers. I've been here 17 years. We've done 1,000 packages in my life here. I've never seen people interested in a package like this. Why is that? Why are they so interested in this package you've come up with, and what is it?
I think it's much different than any other package. So we're the only place that's going to be offering an all-inclusive package to the hotel. So that's going to come with all you can drink at any of our casino bars. It's going to come with meals. It's going to come with bingo sessions. And you know what that price is when you're booking. So those who are going to be, price sensitive to different things are going to be able to know exactly what they're paying. It includes everything.
You waived the resort fee.
The resort fee is waived, which is obviously a big thing that people talk about. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great for the hotel. It's only available directly through our website to be able to book the package. But if it goes successfully, it won't go out until June. People won't start saying until June. But if that goes successful, then we'll be, bringing it out to all the different channels. So we're excited about it. It's the most aggressive package that we've ever put out.
To your credit, I've never seen one, so many room nights sell through a package, and two, so much social media buzz and hype about a package.
Right.
All the influencers and the TikTokers and the Instagrams, everyone's talking, Twitter saying it's the best deal they've ever seen. I think at one point we got so overwhelmed with demand, the site wasn't even working properly. So Good to see.
The site crashed momentarily, so we were down for about 5-6 hours after we released it. But
It's almost like with Taylor
back up
Swift.
and
It's like
running.
the Taylor Swift package.
we
Crashing websites with demand. I might call it the Taylor Swift
the
package.
Taylor Swift package, unbelievable.
Anyway, so congratulations for coming up with such a great package and everyone being excited about it. And let's see how the fireworks go. It starts next month in May 24th, you said?
May
And
24th,
Every Friday. And one of the things we want to do with it is, like you said, all the different venues, but we also want to create a spectacle around it. So maybe each night we invite a local influencer, a local celebrity, a casino guest, the mayor to come in, and we'll have the TNT packet, and they push the button, and that's what starts
so
the
the
show.
big Looney Tunes dynamite.
That kind of idea, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was sort of part of it. Create a little bit of fun around this thing, and that's what makes Vegas special, is we can literally try anything.
Right.
And that's what I love being here. That's why I like being here. You can try new things, do whatever you want, and if you fail, that's okay. You pick yourself back up and you start again, and that's a beautiful thing.
No, it's going to be great for downtown. Now, you live downtown, is that correct?
Close.
Okay.
You want to give my address on the podcast?
I mean, we could do that, but
Why-
I don't
why-
think you want the
Where are you
people-
going with this?
This is my way of segueing into our episode today. We have the Home and History event that's going to be coming up as of this podcast dropping. It'll be next week with the Nevada Preservation Foundation.
Quick shout out to April and Tani for joining us. They actually reached out to us. They were familiar with our podcast and said, could we do some events at the plaza and come on the podcast to talk about it? I actually think they sold out most of the events. If they're not sold out, go online, check it out.
Yeah, it's at nevadapreservation.org.
Okay. Go on. If there's any events that interest you regarding history of Vegas, any particular insights you're looking for, they do a lot of great work. Check it out. And this was an episode we did a few weeks ago, but wanted to push it out before their event
For
comes
all
up.
their events starting in about 10 days. Let's get into the episode. Joining us today is the Board Vice President and Programming Chair of the Nevada Preservation Foundation. Welcome, Amy Raymer, to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Excited to be here. Good.
Wait. There's more than just Amy.
There is. But this is the first time in a long time that we've had more than just one guest on
By
the
the way,
podcast.
this might be the most people I've seen attend a podcast recording, and it's all female. I'm very intimidated. But
We travel in packs.
would you like to introduce yourself, or Gary? Are you going to introduce? Tani?
No. You're the lead researcher for the preservation
Well,
group,
I'm
right?
one of the researchers, so my name's
Well,
Tani
we could say
White.
lead researcher.
Okay, I'll take
Okay.
that. That's good. That's good.
And this is Tammy White. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street as well.
Thank you.
The lead researcher.
Well,
Oh, sorry, a researcher is what you were saying before, Gary.
I am the resident ask her about old stuff person.
Okay.
Tani is born and raised, has every story. Every time we go somewhere and do something, she knows all the people, has all the connections. So Tani is our good luck charm.
Thank you, Amy, for that introduction. Now we know who Tani is.
That's
Right.
trouble.
Gary,
That's proper.
Gary
That's
grossly misrepresented.
Oh.
Thank you, Amy. We needed that introduction. And I apologize I was a little late to joining us here, but we're very excited to have you guys join us here. Do you guys do a lot of podcasts? Are you familiar with podcasts?
This is my first.
Really?
I listen to a lot of
Tani?
podcasts.
You do?
Have you listened to our podcast?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know my favorite episode?
Absolutely.
Jen Jones.
She was amazing.
Okay.
I
yeah.
thought I was riveted. It
That was
great.
more recent as well.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very good.
I was riveted too. I'm always riveted in our podcast, but I thought Jan was excellent. The more you hear about Jan, she knows everyone, has been involved in everything, and pretty powerhouse lady,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Absolutely. Is this your first time coming to Oscar Steakhouse? Have you been here before?
Oh, no, I've been here many times before. And actually, I have a connection with Jonathan. I was doing a tour and I was showing some of our ladies everything in the case out here. And Jonathan walked up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and he's like, let me hear what you're talking about. And hadn't introduced himself, anything like that. And I'm like, okay, well, let me continue on here. And
Were you like, this is a paid for tour and you need to pay if you want to listen to this?
pretty much. No, you looked pretty important, so I was gonna mind my P's and Q's. So you were like, yeah, all that information sounds pretty correct. Let me bring you in. And so you brought us in. It was a group. The ladies were, I believe, from Baltimore. And you said, oh, I think the mayor's here. And they were like, they knew the mayor because of their connections with him back on the East Coast. And he signed books and gave us a little tour of the area. And so that was my first connection with you
Oh, yeah. No.
here at Oscars.
Yeah, and that was that cabinet you're talking about is the one in the entrance out there. That's the Museum of Gaming History. You guys have nothing to do with that. Totally separate. And
Nope, totally different from us.
just appreciating
Yes.
history.
Yeah,
and-
we gave you guys a plaque in 2021.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
but I think that's all that we have here that would be Nevada preservation connected.
What was my plaque for? It was. I mean, I know
It was
what
the
for, but
anniversary.
You got to tell the listeners what I got my
Yes,
plaque
it was
for.
the 50th anniversary of the building or the inception of the Plaza Hotel and Casino.
which is One Main Street, the beginning of everything.
Yes.
And Tanya, you've been here before because you were talking before we started about chicken soup.
I
Now,
have been here.
I think we've done 120 episodes or more of this podcast, and we've never talked about the chicken soup at the Plaza at Oscars, which no longer exists, so it is part of history.
It is part of history.
Tell everyone about the Alpine Village chicken soup.
So the Alpine Village restaurant, which anyone who's been here quite some time, was located first on Las Vegas Boulevard and then on Paradise Road, right across from what was the International. And they had a Rathskeller, and they made this fabulous chicken soup that was pretty legendary. And when Center Stage became Oscars, Carolyn Goodman I guess she hunted down the recipe. There's a lot of lore around the recipe. But if you came to Oscars and you ordered the Alpine chicken soup, the waiter would know that you were an old timer,
Right.
and they would ask you how close it was to the recipe. And they would say, if there's something that's a little different, Carolyn wants to know. And so that's the story of the chicken soup.
It's all true. When we did the menus here, Carolyn wanted the chicken soup on the menu. Our chef today did not want the chicken soup. I said, the person most upset about this was my mother. She took that. She got that recipe and made it in London. She loved the chicken soup recipe here. But it's been off the menu for, honestly, 6 or 7 years at this point, maybe more. But it was a very good chicken soup, and people did like it. Definitely the only steakhouse in Las Vegas serving chicken soup that I can think of.
Yeah. Well, when you had asked about it before we started the podcast, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I actually went over and took a look at the menu. I had no idea about the chicken
You
soup.
don't remember that?
I don't remember.
No, it was early days. It was part of the, no offense, the Broads, the beef, the brews, the Broads,
Right.
all the original stuff that Oscar wanted to do here, and they were more involved in the menus back then. Today we have a world-class chef, and the chicken soup had to go.
Oh well.
There's French onion soup if you're into that.
Which is absolutely delicious.
It is good. Thank
Oh
you,
my
there's-
gosh.
Here's Gemini, everyone. Now, Gemini, we have to mention that this is your first episode back with us.
Yeah.
Rich is gone. Somebody was very upset the other day. I met a fan/customer at the casino, and he said, "Where's Rich?
Really?
I want to meet Rich." I said, "Well, Rich only does podcasts." And Rich is no longer with the podcast because Rich has moved to Chicago.
He's in Chicago. He's
Good.
doing really well. We chatted with him on Tuesday, and he's loving it.
Good luck, Rich, but
Yeah.
we're much happier to have Gemini.
Thank you.
All right, back to the Nevada Preservation Foundation.
Yeah.
So, Amy, tell us about the Nevada Preservation Foundation. Give our listeners a little bit of an insight to what it is.
So in 2014, the Nevada Preservation Foundation was founded, and we have over the years we've done a lot of different things. We've worked with the city. We've been instrumental on getting the neighborhood designation, the historic designation for Beverly Green. And then we also worked with Paradise Palms and the county to get the historic designation for Paradise Palms for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. So that's been a big part of what we've done. Additionally, our offices are in the historic West Side School. We have, again, the plaque program, which we did the plaque here as well too. And then also using some of the neighborhood surveys and whatnot, and doing some of the neighborhood surveys that has helped really inform a lot of our work as well too. So we do serve the whole state. We've had most of our work has been here in Las Vegas and Clark County. However, as things grow, we're going to be moving up and hopefully having more events around Carson and Reno and things of that nature as well too. Because we're not just southern part of the state; we're the whole state. But we started this Home in History Las Vegas. We found out yesterday, 2015, we had our first parade of homes.
Okay.
And so from there, that then turned into what we now call Home in History Las Vegas, which this is our 9th this year that we're doing. And then it's a 4-day extravaganza of tours of all of our historic vintage neighborhoods, cocktail parties, and we always end the whole week with the Vintage Vegas home tour. So this year it's 10 homes, and people get to go in and check it all out. And we're partnering with the Mesquite Club, which is the oldest service organization here in Las Vegas. They're doing some stuff with us as well too. So that was a really long answer.
That was, but thank you. Who founded it and why?
So Heidi Swank was the
Oh, I remember
original.
Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi Swank was the original executive director, and there used to be this organization that was the Clark County Preservation Society. And we don't know what happened to them. They just kind of disappeared, like after like 2009, 2010. So like Alan Hess, who's a big guy here in preservation, he wrote a whole book about Las Vegas and, not learning from Las Vegas because that's the seminal text, but he wrote in 1991, he wrote this amazing book about Las Vegas, and the Clark County Historic Society gave him this certificate, and so I don't know where they went. So I think that's where a lot of this kind of came from, was just this need for, to preserve our locations. Because a lot of times when people talk about Las Vegas, they're like, "Oh, you guys like to blow stuff up out there." We embracing our history, and we're such a young city that it's kind of a joke. Somebody from Philadelphia comes here and they're like, "Oh, that's cute, 1905." Huh?
Yeah.
Well, when I was growing up here, if people came from out of town, they always asked us if we lived in hotels.
Oh yeah.
People didn't understand that this was a community that was growing, that people lived here. We had schools and hospitals and churches, for goodness sakes. We had a lot of churches. So when people, like Las Vegas, people always are moving here. There are people who look for history, and we help them find it.
And to your point, when I moved in 2007, people questioned me, "Are you not living in a hotel?" They didn't understand that there's a residences, a community, 2 million people at the time that were living here.
To be fair, though, in 2007, you were living in a
I
hotel.
did for a few weeks. Okay. thank you for that. Yes, for a few weeks, but I quickly moved out. But and at the same time, what you just mentioned was everyone would say to me, "Well, you're going to implode the Plaza. You're going to implode the Las Vegas Club. All of these things need to be imploded and rebuilt." Now, the Las Vegas Club did ultimately not get imploded, but eaten by a claw, piece by piece, to get taken down. But the Plaza, we took a different approach, which was the opposite of imploding and revitalizing, redeveloping. And nobody says that today, that it should be taken down. But back then, that was just the thing to do, right? 2008, 9, 10, you're just imploding. It's obvious. So that was definitely the culture, and it's good to see that not everyone's imploding, that there is some development of that. But I had a question, and maybe firstly, what were you guys doing before this? Because it's only open in 2014.
Well, we're all volunteers. I've been on the board since 2020. I was a volunteer prior to that. But I just retired from the Clark County School District a year ago. I was an administrator in Clark County School District, and I was a tour guide. I was a volunteer tour guide at the Neon Museum in 2010, from 2010 to 2018.
Oh, wow.
Before we were even open to the public, where you had to know somebody to get into the boneyard, and be careful where you step. And you could only go in during the day because there were no lights, and it was a little sketchy. But so that's kind of my roundabout with it.
And I've been volunteering since 2017 or 16, because I can't remember. But I was a retail trainer, but I do have a history degree from UNLV, and I really cared.
Do you know more about history than Bob Stodall?
No, but
Nobody.
Bob Stodall.
I was hoping you'd say yes.
Do you want to hear a great Bob Stodall story?
Please, yeah. He drives me insane, but go ahead.
So in the 50s, my mother was on the cover of Las Vegas magazine. And I have the original photograph that was taken in our home, but I didn't have the magazine. A friend of mine saw it on eBay and started to bid on it. And he let me know, and he said, "I'm bidding on it, but I'm bidding against Bob Stodall. And I don't think I'm going to get it." And so he called Bob and told him it was my mother and he was buying it from me, and Bob backed out and let him have
Oh,
the
wow.
magazine. So now I have it.
Oh, very cool.
See, it's a good Bob Stokes.
That is a good Bob. I'm surprised, but that is good. So I guess the obvious question is, what's the difference between Nevada Preservation Foundation and the Centennial Commission?
Oh, well, the Centennial Commission, which they fund, they've funded our home and history, and we've done a lot of projects with them. The Centennial Commission was started during the centennial, so 2005, and it really is the license plates that say, that have the "Welcome to Las Vegas" sign. Those license plates fund this Centennial Commission, and so the commissioners that sit on that give out grants, and so they have been very, very generous.
But
with
aren't the
us.
grants all about the preservation of the history?
Preservation, celebration of Las Vegas history. Like I was here in 2005 and went to the concerts that they did, and whatnot. It was a pretty big thing. So I think that they really recognize the fact that people wanted this. People wanted to have some connection to history.
Why
And,
do you?
and the Centennial Commission worked with Emmett Gates on his documentary for the Historic West Side as well.
Yeah,
They were-
yeah.
they worked
Well, you
hand-in-hand.
mentioned your offices are in the West Side.
Yes, Historic West Side
So
School.
I just went to a groundbreaking a week ago today. I didn't see any of you there. You should have been there for a groundbreaking for a new apartment building to be built in the West Side. First development, I heard Councilman Creer say in 70 years. Is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Yep, about right.
First
Wow.
development in 70 years on the historic West Side, and it's Sam Cherry and Cherry Development are building, I think I want to say 60 or 70 or 80 units, apartments, which is pretty cool. I think it's on, I went to the streets, I should know, but maybe D and Jefferson? Sound about right? Is that near where you guys are?
Yeah, we're on Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on Washington.
So what are your thoughts on the West Side? Now, I mean, honestly, I never even knew about the West Side. Never went to the West Side, never thought about the West Side. And in the last 3 months, we've done about 3 podcasts about the West Side. It's come up in every conversation. And then down there last week for a groundbreaking. So maybe there is something.
Talked about the Hunt Ridge probably 3-4 months ago.
But Huntridge isn't in the West Side.
No, it's a little bit further. Yeah.
Huntridge is
Yeah.
Charleston.
The other side. Sorry, I'm turned around.
You're all over the place.
Yeah,
Gary.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But we're not going to let you cut that out. That's staying.
That's no problem.
What are your thoughts on the West Side?
Like we've had our offices in there for quite some time. I think we were one of the first tenants in there whenever it was reopened. And I know that with the 100 plan right now on the historic West Side, there's a lot of development. We actually, Nevada Preservation, we're still kind of working out the details, but we received a grant from the 1772 Foundation for a revolving fund on the historic West Side. And like I said, we're still kind of working that piece out. But there's just so much that's up and coming and going on there. They've had so much. Just upgrades and upkeep of the area, which is great. And during the Super Bowl, I'm sure you saw the Usher, piece that he narrated about the historic West Side, which was just phenomenal because it's not an area that usually gets a lot of attention. The Moulin Rouge and the whole need for the historic West Side is kind of a black mark on our history, I think. But it was a very vibrant community.
Well, and still is. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that in Berkeley Square, which is a neighborhood in the historic West Side that is historically designated, there are still residents there whose families built those homes in the 40s and 50s. And so it's something that is preserved, and the people who live in that neighborhood now, we've done a walking tour of that neighborhood, and in the process met the residents who are so involved and so just really embedded in that neighborhood. So I'm sure they're also equally thrilled to see the development that's going on.
For sure. And there's a fine line between development and then over gentrification, where people that have been there a long time feel like they're getting forced out. So hopefully there's that fine balance there. By the way, you mentioned Usher. Interesting story. I was just down at Cashman Field. Do you guys ever, do you know any, well, I want to talk about Cashman Field in a minute if you have history on that, but I couldn't believe what was there. It was all of Usher's preparation for the Super Bowl show was done at Cashman Field in the warehouse there. And they had still set up the stages, the temporary. He had his own dressing room, signage where the dancers went. All of the remnants were still
Still in place?
sign of life of Usher's show there. But But is there any connection to Cashman Field? Do you guys do anything with Cashman Field?
We haven't. I'm a little worried about Cashman Field after that they built the new stadium out in Summerlin and whatnot, and because that was always our connection to Cashman Field, was just going out to see whatever the name of the team was that year out there at Cashman Field. But no, we haven't had any connection to that one yet.
Okay, so I guess the biggest question for you guys would be, why is it that A, you want to preserve the history, and B, something that always strikes me is, why are people so fascinated with the history of Las Vegas?
Well, there's a thinker. Tawny?
I don't know of any other place that is as diverse. So people come here from everywhere. People are accepted, but we change all the time. And I think that really intrigues people. But when people come here from places that are more established, they look for history. And for instance, the people who own the homes that are on our home tour, they wanted old. They didn't want brand new, shiny Las Vegas. They wanted to find the history. So they searched for it. And they will tell you stories of why, you can ask them, why did you buy a 50-year-old house with bad plumbing and bad air conditioning and needs a roof? Why did you do that? And it's because they too love history, and they wanted to live in something that almost every homeowner says something about the soul of the home, the spirit of the families that lived there before, which were in many cases founders of the city. And so that's why.
Yeah. And I think, too, as well, in terms of historic preservation, it's always kind of tricky because, with neighborhoods, a lot of folks, like I live in John S. Park, which is, the first historically designated neighborhood. A lot of times it's
Great
a
neighborhood,
bit, thank you. It's a little bit of a fight sometimes because people are like, I don't want an HOA. I don't want people telling me that my house has got to look a certain way or things like that. But I think it's really important that there are these touchstones that we have to what Vegas was. I mean, people do come here. They come here for the history. I mean, you can't talk about Vegas and not have somebody go, oh, the Rat Pack, the Rat Pack was there or whatever, which is always funny to me because Rat Pack has been everywhere.
Right.
But it's one of those things, too, that I think that if we don't start to hold on to things, there's fights all the time. We've got to carve a place. We've got to carve a place so we have these touchstones. Because again, we can't just go back to the point where it's like vintage Vegas is something that you see on a movie and you can't touch that when you come here. So I think that's a big draw.
I've always said downtown will do well because of the history. People love to see the neon signs. People love to visit the classic buildings. The issue was, for all those years, there was blight and disrepair. Now that these buildings are getting renovated and look good, and there's great restaurants like Oscar's, or there's great hotel rooms or nice pools or Circa and Golden Nugget, everyone's increasing their, look at that, Kelly Fairchild's doing his walking tour, and there's always 30, 40 people to see the history of Vegas and a walking tour as I'm looking out the window. But people love the history, and I think, you didn't mention it, and I don't necessarily understand it, it's the fascination with the mob and the connections to that makes people drawn to Vegas, whether it's and there's just, it's so embedded in the history. You go to the Neon Museum, you look at the signs, and the tour better than anyone, although you missed the plaza sign being donated.
I actually emailed you because one of our followers for NPF saw it in your parking garage.
Yeah.
And so I reached out, and
that's how it, by the way, I was in a meeting with Aaron Berger, who's current executive of the museum, and an employee came to me by coincidence while I was in the meeting and said his last name began with a P and said, can I take the P that's in the parking lot? And I was like, what P? And he was like, the Plaza P. And I was like, you have a plaza sign in the parking lot? And we looked out the window, or we took a walk, but there was the plaza sign. And he was like, why is it not in the boneyard? I was like, I don't know. And so we ended up, so poor employees, good idea, ended up getting it donated to the museum. But it probably is better served in the museum than in his wall with a giant P. But I think it's the connection to the mob. I can't quite place it, but you go anywhere in the world, England, South Africa, the places I'm originally from, people want to know about the mob. They still want to know if there's still mob here today, and that is intertwined into the history of Las Vegas, which helps to build on that fascination with it.
Absolutely.
And we know that travelers are fascinated with the history of Las Vegas. How much of the local community is? And I say that because I'm originally from Philadelphia, right? So I take for granted the cobblestone streets and the Liberty Bell and everything else that's in the city. It's just kind of second nature. So how much do you guys get local engagement to preserve some of these sites?
We get a lot of local engagement. I will say it's funny that April, who's with us here today, April does tours as well too. She does foodie tours, and one of the
Which one is it, April?
You've probably seen me. I stand up by the fire hydrant.
What's the name of the foodie tour?
Taste Fest food tours.
Why have you never invited me on it?
I'm sorry. I think I've probably seen you up while I've been standing up there. Feel free to join us.
Today's the day. You're invited.
Do you get to eat on the tour?
Yes. It's,
Oh. I'm only coming if I can eat.
Walking and food tour. So I walk. One of our tours goes down Fremont,
Oh,
and we give you all the history, and you get to eat at Fort Place.
okay. All right, cool.
well, she was talking about somebody who came down from Summerlin, and they were just like, "Oh, what is this? Like, we don't even know what goes on down here." So I think we do get some of that crowd, but we've got a lot of folks too. The other board members that are here in Vegas, we all laugh because we talk about them living in stuccoed, just cookie cutter houses,
Yeah.
and there's so much character and whatnot that I think people are kind of blown away. But we do have a lot of local engagement to the point where, with this Centennial Commission funding, we partnered with the Plaza for rooms and whatnot, because we really want to start bringing folks in from the outside as well too, because like I said, most of our programming is very we had a lot of locals.
Well, let's talk about this event. But before we do that, and Tani, maybe Amy, you want to share something? As we're recording, Rich should be proud listening that I said that. As of this recording, next week is goodbye to the Tropicana.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing anything to honor the Tropicana? Any stories about the Tropicana? Any history about it? Because honestly, in this podcast, we've never talked about it. Now, I did have, at the last Oscars in series, a gentleman by the name of Frank Dumeni, who was the original, or one of the original owners of the Tropicana, or at some early stage of the Tropicana, which was fascinating to hear his stories. And he kept saying how much better the old days were. But it's getting demolished next. Is it imploded or demolished? Do we know?
I don't know.
I think it's
demolished.
Yeah.
There's no.
I don't think there's going to be a big explosion.
Yeah,
I
that era I think has passed us
Yeah,
by.
I don't think we're going to have that.
Really?
The last one was the Riviera, right?
Frontier.
You look disappointed.
I am disappointed. I'm surprised. Why weren't they demolish it?
It's probably better for the environment not to blow things up. That's just a guess. I don't
Well, I do know, like down here, they couldn't do because of the proximity to other buildings.
Right.
It might be the proximity to Oyo.
Yeah.
that could
Yeah. MGM is across the street as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, any thoughts on the implosion or the
You know-
closing and eventual demolition of it?
It's sad, but it's part of what we do. I do have a fond memory of the Tropicana. It's the only place people assume that if you live here, you gamble all the time, and
Right.
you don't.
Right.
But the only time I've ever been at a craps table was at the Tropicana. Now, true story, I was only 19, but they didn't know. So, and at that time, we gambled with silver dollars. You didn't use chips. You just
Do you know how to play craps?
no idea. But every time I had a pile of silver dollars, I would just pull them off the table and put them in my purse. So when I went home, it was bad, but it was good.
Nice. Nice.
I did a little bit of research on kind of it's funny because people are like, oh, the Flamingo is the oldest property, but there's nothing left of the original Flamingo. There's nothing. To the point where it's very similar with the Tropicana. The Tropicana used to have that amazing fountain out front. I'm doing the fountain.
Yeah. People can't see that.
Yes, in my mind. So the Tropicana fountain that was out front, that was demolished in the late 70s. And then the actual exterior, which used to be this very mid-mod glass, which everything was here initially, and then they added a tower in like in the 70s they added a tower, in the 80s they added a tower. So a lot of what's there isn't original any longer. There's really nothing original there. One of the things that is special about that too is the ceiling, the Tiffany glass ceiling, which was added in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Whenever it became a Ramada, they brought that in. So we're hoping that that's something that can be salvaged, but. As for the actual building, initially people would always say, oh, it's just easier to tear things down, ADA compliance, that kind of thing. But I have a friend of mine, Eric Strain, who's as an architect, and he talked about that, I guess the retrofitting of buildings, it's more of you can't bet on the past. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, It's always something new, something big, something whatever, and you really can't do that in some of the older casinos, which is sad to me because we've lost, the Stardust and the Riviera and, in the time that I've been here, which...
Frontier.
Yes, Frontier, saw that one go down.
Sands.
Yep, yeah. Sands was just a little bit before me, but yeah, that would kind of started the era of let's just blow the crap out of it. So, yeah.
All right.
And people would line up to watch this.
Oh, yes.
Stuff.
I'll never
Wynn.
forget watching the
Yeah.
Frontier implosion.
Oh,
I
wow.
was top of the win. It was amazing. it was
Yeah,
it was 2007. It was
Yeah, I watched the Riviera.
Mm-hmm.
3:00 in the morning, whatever it was, for them to implode.
I watched
that was
the landmark.
afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was after. Yeah,
The landmark in the dunes I watched.
Wow.
That it became too painful.
I missed that.
So tell us a little bit about the Home and History event for our listeners.
Perfect. So, like I said, this is our 9th year. We typically do a lot of different events, but this year we've got a very exciting year. We are really focusing on Commercial Center this year. Commercial Center over here on Sahara is just hit 60 years, the 1964.
Commercial centers in like Green Door.
Yep,
Slash
yes,
Lotus.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
the only two things that people. You know what? Actually, that's not true. That's not true. You guys are going to correct me, I'm sure. And maybe Green Door is not something we talk about here, but also can do. I went to dealer school in Commercial Center. That's where I learned to deal.
Okay.
That's where I learned to deal blackjack, roulette, and craps.
Really?
Is in Commercial Center. So there's 3 reasons to go there. Green Door. Is Lotus of Siam open there again?
They're not,
No.
but they're rebuilding right now.
Are they really though?
They
They've got
really
the other
are. We walked
location.
by the other day.
Okay, because they've been
Yes.
saying that for
Yes,
a
no,
while.
we walked by. There was active construction happening.
I don't believe the dealer school's still there that I went to.
No.
And Lotus isn't there, so really you're just going for the Green Door.
And the Q
There's some
Club.
theaters in there.
There's amazing
Yeah.
stuff going on.
All right,
there.
tell us about it because I don't know it.
So we're doing our kickoff on Thursday, April 25th from Commercial Center. We've got a bunch of stuff going on that day. We're doing a bus tour. It's the Atomic Bus Tour, and the Atomic Bus Tour includes the Underground Mansion.
Oh wow!
So folks get to
That's
go
the
there.
bunker, right? That they made.
What's a house?
Okay.
Yeah, it's an underground house with a house on top. You'd never know.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of a
it's a
misconception
house,
because
yeah.
I always thought it was built as a bomb shelter, which it
Right.
technically is. But technically, it's a home.
It's a home. Yeah.
So the bus tour kicks off from Commercial Center there. That's the first of 3. We have them through the weekend. That sold out like as soon as we put them up. But it looks at some of the atomic locations here in Las Vegas, and we're also working with the Atomic Testing Museum for that one. So folks have an opportunity to
Which
check
is
those.
Rob McCoy.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yep. Formerly from the Neon Museum.
Yep.
And so from there we have the Q Club. The Q Club that is in Commercial Center was one of the very first. They've been in there since the inception of the Commercial Center. So on Thursday, April 25th at 5:30, there's going to be a Clark County proclamation at the Q Club where they're going to get their proclamation for being a 60-year business there in Commercial Center. So there's a pool hall right there that you can still go to that goes way back in the day. And there's a lot of development in there. We're going to be doing a poker run so folks get in and see some of the businesses that are in Commercial Center because there's some really cool stuff in there. There's a lot of great restaurants. There are the Balkan restaurant is hosting our ending party for us. They're just phenomenal. So we want to get folks out and kind of checking that out. There's also a at Frankie's is doing a free happy hour, and he's going to have Bamboo Ben there. And
Frankie's
talking,
Tiki.
Frankie's Tiki.
Nice.
Yep. So that's our Thursday. And then Friday is where we start to kick off with our neighborhood tours. So this year, with our neighborhood walking tours, we feature. There's the Scotch 80s. We have a walking tour through Paradise Palms. The new one this year is the Huntridge and Marycrest neighborhood, which is just really a neat story behind the Huntridge and the neighborhood, the Marycrest, the post-World War II neighborhoods. Then additionally,
Beverly Green.
Beverly Green, thank you. Beverly Green, and also McNeil. And
So you're
we
basically
also-
doing everything.
Yes, all the things. And then we also have a tour of the motels of the down here at the end of Fremont as well too. So those are
I
all
think you
walking
left
tours.
off the most important part of it, though.
Oh, the plaza?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Vintage Vegas Variety Hour.
Well, she started
Yes.
on Thursdays. She hadn't cut
Yes,
quite
yeah,
got
that's
to
okay. That's a
Saturday,
Saturday.
night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I will expedite. Yes. So Friday and Saturday are very similar in terms of we've got some educational opportunities for folks who want to learn about mid-century gardens. We partnered with the Clark County Museum, so you get to peek in behind the heritage street that they've got all the old neighborhood down there at the Clark County Museum. That's part of what we're doing. And then additionally, we've got a walking tour of 18B that includes some booze in there. And then Friday night, we have the Tiki Gala, which is at the Lava House, which is a phenomenal spot down in Beverly Green. And then Saturday, we have pretty much, second of all of those same events. Again, with the ending being on Saturday evening here at the Plaza, which is the Vintage Vegas Variety Hour and Cocktail Gala.
Where are we doing that?
That is in the showroom.
Oh, nice.
And we just finalized today all of that good stuff. So we're
Good.
very excited. We have a lovely parting gift for folks as well, too, this year.
And do people buy tickets to this all, or do you buy tickets to individual parts?
Individual events. Thank you. Yeah, so that's individual events. That's through our website, NevadaPreservationFoundation.org.
Okay.
And all the tickets are there. And so, yeah, we're really excited about the variety show. We're also going to be doing tours. We got the go-ahead to do some tours here at the Plaza. So
Good.
we're going to give people a sneak peek of that.
All right.
And then finally on Sunday, we've got our Vintage Vegas home tour, which is, again, 10 houses. People get to go in and check that out.
One of my friends is on that list.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So
I need to know who.
yeah. So that's our whole weekend. 4 solid days of about 40 events, and
So is this the biggest year yet?
this is yes. Right now, ticket sale wise, this is the most tickets that we've sold prior to the event yet. So
Very
we're
cool.
very excited.
And tickets are still available for some of the
Tickets
events.
are still available. We have sold out of a lot.
Good.
But yeah, we
Congratulations.
do. Thank you. We're very excited. We're almost sold out on the home tour. We sold out of the Tiki event like the minute we put it up for sale, and same with like the Atomic Vegas bus tour as well too. We also have a bus tour of the downtown area of all the murals and the history of the downtown as well. That we still have tickets on that as well. So there's still stuff out there.
It is a fine line between preservation and sort of redevelopment. Like when we put the 3 murals on this building, I assume you're familiar with our 3 murals: Shepherd Ferry, Deface, and Fail. Thank you, Gary. People said, "You're crazy. You're going to ruin the history and the iconic look of it." And it was quite the opposite, actually, once we did it. But there was definitely that conversation we had about, is it a risk? And even with the Carousel Bar and Pink Box Donuts, it's not for everyone, but at the same time, people love it, and it feels like it was always meant to be there, especially the bar, the way it's built into that. So there is a fine line between preserving and redeveloping.
Well, and the fact that this restaurant was once a
Swimming pool.
Right, exactly, yes, yeah.
I think you'll find that in the home tour, that's one of the things that draws people, because you get to go in and see these homes. So yes, they're 50 to 70 years old. You can preserve the home, the footprint, the style. You can certainly decorate in the original style if you choose, but you may need to redo the kitchen.
Right.
You know, it's okay to have appliances that work. You
Right,
don't have to
right.
keep ancient
Hey, hey.
appliances if they don't work.
All of my appliances work.
All of her
1948,
hers are vintage.
1962.
So when to go into these homes and see what people have done with them is the big draw of the home tour. And you do it at your own pace. You drive, you go in, you don't like the house, you leave. You love the house, you stay and talk to the owners. So the Sunday event really is the signature event of what we try to do, which is educate. That we want people to know that we have history.
Yeah.
And it's broad. This year it goes from a home built in 1939 to a home built in 1977.
Is the home that Ace Rothstein on Las Vegas Country Club lived in on the list? Because I went to that home
It
for a
is not,
fundraiser.
but if you could get us in there, that'd be great.
I don't know if it is, but I remember going there for a fundraiser years ago, and they still had the bullet holes in the glass. Not the hole, but the chips from where someone tried to apparently assassinate Ace Rothstein. Anyway.
Awesome. So as we kind of wrap up, and thank you guys so much for your time today. Any final words for our listeners when it comes to historical preservation?
I would just say that it's events like this that allow us to do the preservation work in the community. So while Home and History is education focused and fun focused, it's these things that allow us to do the preservation work. Like Hugh Taylor, who is prolific Las Vegas architect. We have his entire archive. Thank you. Words are hard. His entire archive on our website. The family donated that to us. We can't do those projects without the funding of things like the Centennial Commission and events like this that allow us to be able to do the preservation work.
Right.
We should have you guys involved with our rodeo about the history of Vegas as well.
We followed your lead on some of that for your funding for that.
Oh,
So,
good.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, and thank you for taking the time, and thank you for
Yeah.
bringing people here from Baltimore, wherever else they may be, to see our displays. And please keep doing that and bring more foodies here. Bring us into your tours. We appreciate you guys and everything you're doing to help in the community to preserve the history.
Yeah. And one more time, the Home and History Las Vegas is April 25th through the 29th, and tickets are available at nevadapreservation.org.
Yep, that's correct.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank
being
you.
here on the corner of Main
Appreciate it.
Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.